So should you be starting a side hustle in 2021? Well, there's a few things to consider, like what kind of side hustle? Why are you starting one? What are some of the things that you need to be thinking about to make sure that you're not just turning your side hustle into another job that you're going to hate? There's so many videos on YouTube right now saying 15 side hustles to start this, that, and the other. You can get bogged down and swarmed with all of these ideas, which sound good in theory, but should you be starting these and just getting yourself into another mess? I'm going to be going over 3 things that you need to consider before starting a side hustle of any kind. Questions that can give you some clarity and direction, and maybe even give you some ideas about how to improve your current situation before you even get into that. Stay tuned. We're going into it right after this. Okay, so first let's start off with the definition of a side hustle. What's a side hustle? Well, simply put, the definition I like the best is work you do outside of your full-time job to provide extra income. Well, I know what you're thinking. Some of you might be saying, isn't that just another part-time job? Well, it is. So if the first reason you're starting side hustle is just a little extra money and you don't really care what it is, you just need a little bit of extra money, then it is just another part-time job. So to help you figure out why you're really doing it and if you fit into one of these categories, ask yourself these 3 things. Number 1, are you just doing it to make a little bit of extra money? Maybe you have a short-term project or you're saving up for something and it really doesn't matter what you do. You're just trying to maximize some little extra cash so that you can buy something, go on a trip, get a little bit out of debt, whatever it is, and that's okay. Number 2, maybe you're considering a career change. Maybe you don't really like what you got going on right now as your main gig, or maybe you need to really just change directions and do something that is not going to feel like it's killing you every day. Or number 3, maybe it's something you've always wanted to do. Maybe you have that dream job or that dream thing, or maybe just recently you saw somebody else doing something, or you just thought, hey, I'd really like to try that out. A side hustle might be the perfect way to test that thing that you've always wanted to do. See, for me, I started a side gig that ended up turning into my main gig. I was working in banking and finance. And after about 12 years of that, just putting my head down, doing what I thought I was supposed to be doing, I realized I was sick, soul sick, physically sick, mentally, emotionally, all of it. And I really couldn't figure it out for the longest time because for the most part, I was making pretty good money. So I was in the second and third category. I wanted a career change, and I also wanted to do something that I thought was a little bit cooler, like working on the internet. I love the idea of pressing buttons or doing a video or doing something online, and you could actually make commerce from that or get more customers that way. But I never really thought it would be my main gig because I grew up in a traditional sense of things. Meaning I thought you're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to start off at the bottom, work your way up, and then after 20 years, you get to retire. But somewhere in that, I realized I wasn't really happy with what I was doing. So that 20-year thing wasn't going to work out for me. So maybe you're in one of those top 3 categories. And you might be thinking, well, I just don't have enough time to start a side hustle, but I'm interested in hearing about it, Vince. Or maybe you're hearing all of these other people online and you just don't think it's right for you. Let me just tell you one thing about time. I calculated the time and it's very simple to do. 1 hour of night of television. See, the average person spends about 2.8 hours a night watching television every single night. It's just part of what we do. So 1 hour a night for an entire year is 365 hours out of the year. Now, that's easy math, but divide that by an 8-hour workday, and you end up with 45 full workdays that you could be putting towards your side gig. So think about that, and if you could put out 45 days, a month and a half of 8-hour workdays, you will be able to try that side gig out, think about that career change, or make a little bit of extra money, and you'll be a lot happier because you'll be able to test some of these things out for yourself. So here's some tips into each one of those scenarios. Number 1, you just need a little bit of extra money. So maybe it's short-term or long-term side hustle that you're considering. Short-term meaning I'm just trying to get out of debt, I'm trying to earn a little bit for that down payment on my house or my car, or I'm trying to save up for a trip or whatever it is. It might be short-term, it might be a little bit long-term, and maybe you decide it doesn't really matter what I do. So the hustle in your side is just making a little bit of extra money. In that case, you can just do about anything. You can do a part-time job locally. You can work graveyard shifts. You can deliver for Grubhub. You can do Uber. There's tons of videos out on YouTube that you can find out what that extra gig is if you really don't care what it is you're doing. But I'm going to have you ask one thing about that. What is it about your main gig that isn't creating enough income for you that you need to do a side gig? Because if all you're doing is trading hours for time, the only way you're ever going to get ahead is by trading more hours for that money. And time is one of the things that they're not making more of. So I would heavily ask you to go in and consider, what is it about the main gig that's not paying you enough? Should you be switching that main gig to something else? Could you learn a skill? Could you switch laterally to another business or a company or an employer? If it's a business that you already own, can you be doing something else, or how do you leverage a little bit more money out of that existing business that you're doing by adding another product, another service if you own your own business, or by deciding to start a different business? I'm not saying any of these things are easy. I'm just saying here's the things to consider, because if you're already working 8 or 10 hours and then you're going to add another 6 hours on top of that, either a week or a night or whatever it is, to make a little extra money, you better be dang sure that the first thing that you're doing isn't the problem in the first place. I've even known people in their main gig that just switched to a different location or a different employer and cut down on the hours that they were commuting, and that was all they really needed to do to be happier with what they're doing. Number 2, maybe you're considering a career change. Maybe you're not happy with what you're currently doing, like I was in banking and finance. I couldn't put on a tie and go in another day to the offices. You might be in a different situation and like that. That's all right too. But if you're considering a side gig as a career change test, or to kind of look into that, that's perfectly awesome way to do it, and just doing it responsibly as well. Jordan Peterson, one of my favorite guys on YouTube, said, "It is a luxury to pursue what makes you happy, but it is a moral obligation for you to pursue something that you find more meaningful." So here's some pointers if you're looking at a career change, not happy where you are, and you're testing the waters responsibly by doing a side hustle. Number 1, start with why. I read Simon Sinek's book, Start With Why, and then later he had Finding Your Why. But that got me thinking about, what are the things that you would be doing that would make you a little bit more happy? And can you find money in that? It could be in the exact industry with the exact skills you have now, just maybe working at a different company that it would make you happier. Could be in your environment, your boss, whatever it is. If you already have a business and you're looking at starting a side gig as a career change, what about your current skills could you use differently for your side hustle? Maybe you work well with your hands. Maybe you love loving hobbies or other projects that you could turn into a business as a side gig. So you might not enjoy what you're currently doing. You're thinking of a side hustle to test a career change. Take an inventory of your existing skill sets, your existing interests. What do you currently love to do? What are your current skills in? And how can you take that into an endeavor that's going to make you a little bit more money and a little bit more happy? Number 3 reason to start a side hustle is maybe there's that thing that you've always wanted to try. Maybe it's something you've wanted to do since you're a kid, and now after working 20 years or 5 years or 1 year in your career occupation, you think a side hustle is a great way to test out doing whatever it is. Maybe you can't do a side hustle as an astronaut and you wanted to do that as a kid, but you can start most any other thing or business or career that you've always wanted to try out as a side hustle. Do lots of research. We live in the information and digital age right now, so it's been an amazing time to go on YouTube, listen to a podcast, read a blog post. People are all over the place on social media, the internet, and they have most likely done or are doing the thing that you've always wanted to try out. And a lot of them will even teach you that too. But what you have to do is not just do a lot of research, but also become more conscious about the people that you're following, because sometimes they're not very good at what they did, but they can give you some advice at least to start pushing you in the right direction. There's tons of free information out there. Start becoming a student of the thing that you want to do. I have a friend who used to be at EMT, and he liked the job, but it was becoming too stressful over time. But the one thing he really wanted to do is become a coffee shop owner. He wanted to own a coffee shop, and he thought about a coffee truck as well. Well, he ended up doing both successfully for a while, and now he teaches other people how to start a coffee truck business themselves. He has the expenses, he does the videos on it, he's got a great YouTube channel, it's called Green Joe Coffee, check it out. But he made a business out of doing something he loved, and he pursued that thing he loved first by doing the research, investigating, and figuring things out. And in the process, he realized he could do a better job of teaching someone else how to start up that business themselves. A couple of other tips: save up some money. Save up some money for your side gig. So people always say, well, I either don't have the time or the money to start that side hustle, or they're worried about time or money primarily. The thing is what are you spending your current money on now? I know people who are constantly complaining about their job and saying they don't have enough money to start that business because they're always going to happy hour to drink away the misery of the job they don't like. And that blows my mind. Think about that. Your hard-earned money at the place you don't like to go, you go out and spend right after you finish your shift there and drink it away so that you can forget that job that you don't like doing. It's kind of like counterintuitive. And we're going to go back to what I said. If you don't think you have enough time, just look back on the fact that 1 hour a night for the year turns into 45 full work days, no weekends, 45 straight work days of 8-hour work days towards that side thing. And I've said it before, follow proven frameworks of success. They always say success leaves clues. So go and find those people doing what you want to do and follow their examples or the examples that they set out for you. I'll leave you with that. Thanks for listening. I hope this helped out and gave you some ideas as you pursue finding something that's going to be more meaningful in your life. And we will see you next time. Take care and talk soon. Boom.